news. More news can be found online at usaradio.com. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
This is not America. Sha-la-la-la-la. Little piece of you, a little piece in me will die. A miracle, for this is not
couple of people
We have a COVID situation?
a couple of people have come down with it. Yeah, I know. I mean, there's no other way to know that we have a COVID situation.
Or describe it as
Yeah.
a situation. Yeah.
So, but we're back, and we're thankful that there wasn't too much news in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we'll have no problem catching up.
Because it was really difficult to digest all that.
Well, as you know, Congress labored mightily with a good deal of back and forth and accusations and struggles, and they finally, in a secret conference, produced a 5,000-page monstrosity that, the only good people left in Congress voted against. And those
About 6 or 7 of them. I think.
Yeah, there were 6 Republicans in the Senate, and there were 2 Democrats in the House that voted against it.
Do you have the Democrat names off the top of your
Yeah,
head?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah.
Tulsi
Expect
Gabbard.
that,
She
yeah.
put out a video, and Aqib Talib or Talib.
Oh, Talib was one?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
The rest of the squad complained about it, but then dutifully voted for it, and maybe we'll discuss that a little bit later.
Was that before or after they were vaccinated?
And the bill includes extra money for health care for the Congress.
Does
you know
it?
that? Yeah.
Oh, good. They need
Yeah,
that.
they needed that.
Is it
sure.
mental health care they're looking for?
The bill also includes money for 2 ethnic museums. I think it's a women's museum now and a Latino museum.
No Caucasian museum?
You know,
Is it okay to be white
surprising.
anymore? I'm still not sure. It's not clear to me whether it's okay.
Apparently
to be white.
not. And then there's gender studies in Pakistan.
I heard
received
about
$10
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham was excited about that.
Yeah, I saw he was very excited
he
about
says
it.
he
He's
worries
concerned
so
about
much,
Pakistan.
so
you know.
much about the women in Pakistan. It keeps them up at night.
I was just going to say, I wonder if it keeps him up at night. It's like we're twins here. Yeah, it really was a foreign aid package, is what it is.
Right.
With some money for the rest of us, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, put it in a mathematical equation. Take the $900 billion and divide it by the number of Americans.
Uh-huh.
You know what the answer is?
Well, you couldn't divide it by all the Americans. I guess that
Just
would
round it off.
Yeah, round it off. Okay.
$600. It's my own humor.
Yeah, and so that's supposed to keep us. Tulsi said in a video that that wouldn't even pay a quarter of the rent for the average person in Hawaii.
Yeah. Cost of living is very high there.
Yeah, so that's why people are leaving. We just heard on the news people are leaving Hawaii, which is unusual. And then the only Justin Amish, the only Libertarian congressman. The Libertarians have a congressman now, at least for a few more weeks.
Because he changed his registration.
Yeah. So he voted against it, as did Rand Paul, and most of the freedom people that are in the Senate, all 6 of them, they all voted against it. So Donald Trump came out and demanded a clean bill with $2,000 per person. And then he could either veto this bill, or since it's close to the end of the session, he could probably pocket veto it.
Yeah,
just leave it on his desk.
I think that's what he's going to do, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Either that, or, I mean, they'd have to come back.
Uh-huh.
They go home and then come back. I don't think they want to do that.
No.
Yeah. So I see a pocket veto in the making here.
He's using leverage.
But it's very clever how he's done this. I mean, I nearly dropped my fork. It happened at dinner time last night, and I got 4 minutes. You know, he really got it all in there. You know, he didn't want to waste anybody's time. It was really amazing. And then he, at the end of the speech, he addressed the fact that it was just nothing but globalism in the bill.
Right. That's
the
all
foreign
it
aid
is.
package. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sets up Biden for the next 4 years. Why would he support that?
Right.
Why would he sign that? I think it's definitely going to be a pocket veto.
That would be fun.
It's already fun.
Although not so much fun for the people that are going to probably lose unemployment insurance. But
Yeah, but the damage is already done. I think. I
Yeah.
mean, this should have happened in July or August.
right.
So,
You know, I mean,
as Rand Paul said, I mean, why are we sending money to people who are working?
exactly.
So,
Why are we spending, you know, so much money on the military-industrial complex, on bailing out corporations? You know, most of these corporations could have easily gone through bankruptcy. Congress could have passed special rules for COVID bankruptcies if they had it together, so that they would have a better time of it. But I work for a corporation in the airline industry that we had at least 2 bankruptcies and nobody got fired. You know, they just restructured.
restructure.
Yep. So, but nope, they have to bail them out, just like in 2008. And
Well, because money grows on trees. I know that because Rand Paul says so.
yeah, and he's got a good point there, because you can't, you know, sooner or later, the inflation is going to have to occur if we keep spending all this money. And
You
know,
say that as a gold bug.
yeah, but yeah, sure.
I'm also a precious metals guy. So,
Yeah.
I see that happening at some point.
It just, I mean, this whole modern monetary theory is just going crazy here.
$30 trillion.
Yeah, in debt.
How do you do that except by printing?
Right. And of course,
And Yellen's in her place. You know, Yellen will be in her seat to carry out the requirement. So
right.
she knows how to destroy money.
Yeah, she worked at the Federal Reserve.
That's
of course she
right.
does.
I understand she's going to be very good at it.
Barbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen, would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ,
A Lotus broadcast station.
the power of radio since 1967.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. I'm your host, Brendan Traynor, and my co-host, Leland Faegre. And, you know, what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is, you know, the ascendancy of below-average Joe.
Good description.
Yeah.
See, that's the writer in you right there.
Joe and his family display below-average intelligence. And as the Dunder Mifflin paradox demonstrates, they are completely unaware, at least consciously, of their inadequacies. Dunder Mifflin is the name of the company on the TV show The Office, and it fits because everybody in the office doesn't realize how incompetent they are.
Oh, is this the American version or the British version?
No, it was a psychological study, but The Office is an American show.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
because it was
It's
a
on the
British
Comedy
version.
Channel. Yeah.
Oh, so is it the American version?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good. I thought it was very funny, the British version, anyway.
Yeah. So, the Bidens continually assert that they're very smart, but in fact, their behavior betrays them. For example, Jill Biden's doctorate is illustrious. Her ed doctorate, it's a doctor of ed, is what it's
Doctor
called.
of Ed?
Yeah, Doctor ED period. It's not a PhD at all, which everybody has been generously calling it.
Yeah, that is how they've characterized it.
Whoopi thought she was a medical doctor. We all know that. But,
Right.
Yeah, but her husband, she worked so hard. That's what I heard her defense. She worked so hard on her dissertation, which was, a complex study about how to make the students welcome at community colleges. I'm sure that's Nobel sociology work there. And then she mentioned that her husband attended her dissertation defense, in quotes.
Yeah, what's a dissertation defense?
It's when you have to go before a panel of academics and defend your
legitimize
PhD.
I see.
If you had a legitimate, PhD dissertation.
See, I would know these things if I had gotten that far at the college level.
PhDs are way overrated, and it's become a racket now. You have to have at least 2 or 3 MAs or MBs, and then you have to go to the PhDs. By the time you're done, you're so much in debt, and but you can make more money, but you are so much in debt, and then you're an expert. Everybody has to listen to you.
Well, those experts were the ones that showed me the exits.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so dry. I mean, for the most part, at least in the field I was in. Maybe if you get a PhD and you're a mathematical wizard at MIT or something, that stands for something. But, and then her husband I don't know whether he was still a senator or the vice president, probably the vice president. He's sitting there in the room. I'm sure one of those academics is going to say, that's just not good enough, Jill. Got to go back and rework that.
Well, I mean, for someone who had to go through the third grade, I mean, who knows what would happen at the college level.
Exactly. And then, and we keep seeing these tells, like Joe Biden himself, he had to repeat the third grade. Then when he was running for president, he claimed he graduated at the head of his class with a full scholarship and 3 degrees, and he did not finish at the head of his class. In law school, he was 76 out of 84, and he only had 1 degree.
Yeah, I don't know why they try to pull that off all the time. And he's not the only one. What's that, Blumenthal claimed he went to Vietnam and he was never over there?
Yeah.
The senator from Connecticut? I can't think of his name.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that stuff can be easily discovered.
Right.
And then, boy, is your face red for
Yeah.
the rest of your
He just claims he misremembered.
Yeah.
I mean, you can remember that you only got 1 degree and not 3 degrees.
But he never set foot in Asia, and he's claiming, military accomplishment in the region. I don't know how or why the psychology of this is what I don't understand, I think.
So you see, they surround themselves with all of these so-called experts, and they're all on the same track. Rhodes Scholar, then...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Rhodes Scholar, Ivy League degrees.
So they just can't help themselves. Is what
Right. They're so smart, and so he has to surround himself with these kind of people so he can claim that he's smart. I think, I'm an armchair psychologist, all right, but...
well, no, you're as good as anybody.
Yeah, I did eat at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Well, then that poor Steve Ducey last night, or yesterday afternoon, when he was at the press conference and he asked the president about his son, Hunter, and then he responded in a very, very unique way. We should get our station head Eddie with us to answer this question. We'll see if we can get him on the phone or something. Jay, could you get Eddie? We want to ask him a question here as soon as he's available. Oh, here he is. He's coming now. So Steve Ducey's asking the president about Biden, and then he calls him a one-horse pony. And are you in there, Eddie?
Yeah, I got room.
Okay. What is a one-horse pony? What is a one-horse pony? We'd like to know.
One-horse pony?
Yeah, because Joe Biden yesterday referred to, or to Steve Doocey on Fox News as a one-horse pony. What is a one-horse pony? You're a horse guy, Wainema Ranch, and
Actually, I have never heard one-horse pony. I've heard one-horse show, okay, or a one-horse show or one-horse pony show.
I see.
But I've never heard one-horse pony. But one-horse show is where you get all excited to go watch something or hear something, and it's just
a limited act.
A limited act.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Okay.
It's like a stand-up comedian with the same joke over and over and over.
So that's what he was alluding to then yesterday when he talked to Steve Doocey, when he responded to Steve.
When he was
Doocey.
talking about Pelosi?
No, he was talking about his son
His
Hunter.
son, Hunter.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no.
the scandal.
Hunter would be a one jackass show. Okay, not a one horse show, but a one jackass show. I mean, that's just a personal opinion,
Right.
but over the top, I think, because some of the concerns I have right now is, and by the way, I'm sure you guys have covered it, but isn't that exciting about the president not signing the bill and sending it back?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were just talking.
Yeah, I know. I heard you, and everybody in the audience was all excited because, he's put people in a position now. How do they turn it down? How do they turn it down without committing political suicide? Okay, which, by the way, I think most of them have committed political suicide.
I would like to see them commit political suicide.
Yeah. It's too bad that Congress, doesn't act like lemmings. Because lemmings once a year,
They at least do it.
They in mass.
Yeah.
They run to a cliff and jump off.
Right.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
We just wouldn't be that lucky.
Yeah, but no, one horse show is what I've always heard. Okay,
Dog and pony show.
Dog and pony show, same type of
So
thing.
what he was then trying to say, because Joe is challenged by the English language and is
Joe's challenged
Joe
by
Biden.
breathing.
Yeah.
Okay.
is that he just has one question he always answers. Basically, what he was saying to Steve Doocey of Fox News.
No, it's. I'll tell you, it's so sad when I think that so many people, not everybody accounted for, but so many people truly did vote.
Yeah.
In that direction, and I'm going. There must have not been history in the classes they took at any high school. Any type of.
Well, they weren't emphasized.
No,
Clearly.
obviously, because the bottom line to me is very, very simple. If you just follow history, nobody in their right mind would vote for socialism. Nobody in their right mind would vote for communism. They just would not do it, and yet so many people think, oh, this is the way to go now.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Okay.
they've been doing it in a very graduated extent for about 50 years already.
Sure.
So
we have
it's
dumbed
just
down our
overnight.
nation.
Right.
And by the way, I hold the universities responsible for that because of such a high percentage of our college and higher university professors, are socialist leaning.
Oh, yeah. They are.
It's just
Absolutely.
that simple. And I'm talking about in the high 90s.
Well, that's why Brendan and I didn't get degrees in political science. We just couldn't tolerate these
Poli
people.
Sci?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. That was,
I was a psychology and philosophy major, but when I went to graduate school here in Reno, it was just, that's the kind of thing that I came up against, and they even had a libertarian book in one of the courses, and talking about how government takes a crisis and then ratchets itself up to make more bigger
government as a solution.
If you don't mind, I need to ask you a question, okay? I'm going to suggest, and my opinion is that libertarian book, okay, wasn't very many pages to it. Because basically they agree to everything, don't they?
Well, they say, don't steal, don't kill, and mind your own business.
There you go. There's
very
3 pages
very
right
simple.
there if you elaborate.
Yeah.
If you elaborate, we're leave people alone. And,
right.
and by the way, with the one exception of the drug issue in the platform of the Libertarian Party, I could look you in the eye and tell you I'd be a libertarian today.
Right.
I'd be a libertarian today.
Yeah,
because
that's offending a lot of people, I think. But I think when it's understood, it's actually a key part of how we get our act together, is to just move on from that subject. They've made it an issue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the people are starting to wake up. I mean,
yeah. It's happening all the time.
Marijuana is legal. I've got stock. I'm not giving financial advice here. I'm just entertainment purposes. But I've got stock in one of the new psychedelic medical companies called MindMed.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I really have. I had a broker friend, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I do not play the stock market because I wanted to, and then I found out you needed something I just simply did not have.
Well, we'll help you.
Money.
Well,
Exactly.
You know? But I did hear about that. A friend of mine told me about that.
Right.
Company.
They might even list it on NASDAQ.
Right.
That would really boost it. But, you know, it's a very misunderstood. I know a lot of conservatives look at what's going on, and they blame it on the drugs, but it's really the prohibition.
It's
that
really the
causes
prohibition
it.
that's the
Amen.
problem.
And by the way, this gives me just a few seconds to say something. I want to thank you both for being a part of America Matters Media family. Love your show.
Well, that's why we had you in for this segment.
Well, that's
So we
okay.
can get applause.
Yeah, well, you do get applause. You deserve applause because so many people absolutely love your show. Thanks for the invite.
And we knew you'd have an answer about that one
Okay,
host.
that's right. There you go.
Eddie Floyd, ladies and gentlemen.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging.
Let me tell you about America Matters with Eddie Floyd. It comes on every Monday at noon. Don't want you to miss it. That's America Matters with Eddie Floyd.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. I'm your host, Brendan Trainer. My co-host is Leland Faegre. We were talking about Joe Biden and the Dunder Mifflin paradox, which proves that people who are incompetent have no idea that they're incompetent. They actually believe they're doing a good job, and that's been psychologically demonstrated. So anyway, there's another thing, and it runs in the family. I mean, his heroic son, Beau Biden, took him 3 tries to pass the bar.
Didn't he just describe Hunter the other day as the most intelligent person he knows?
I think he did.
Yeah,
Yes.
so this case in point.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's going to show Biden is, we're going to have to come to grips with the fact that the mainstream media is not going to point these things out. So that's our job.
That's our job here at Talking Truth to Power.
Yep. But there was a bizarre phone call that Biden had with black leaders, civil rights leaders. Of course, if you're a conservative, you're a black person, you're for individual rights, not so much civil rights. But at any rate, he had a bunch of them on a Zoom call. There was at least 6 or 8 of them there. And when he asked what he will do for them, he said he already did it.
Yeah. 47 years.
Yeah, he said he promises to heal the soul of the nation after Charlottesville. And then he lectured the representatives that by 2040, whites will be a minority, and you will have to deal with Hispanics. They are more numerous than you are.
He's the ultimate racist, isn't he?
Yes, he
I mean,
is.
that's what you're left with when a conversation like that.
I know.
It's amazing.
Uh-huh. And so Biden apparently sees Hispanics as more as a future for the Democratic Party than black people, although it was his affinity for black people that he bragged about all through the campaign, and in fact he did very poorly with Hispanics. So, of course, he's promising to give them amnesty as soon as he's elected. So it takes office, I mean. So, or as soon as he's elected, whichever way you want to look at it.
In that COVID bill is promised aid to Hispanic immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about that?
No, that's
in fact, there's more money. There's more money earmarked for them than there is for real Americans.
Ordinary working Americans, right?
Amazing, isn't it?
It sure is.
How does that happen? He has to veto that goddamn thing.
What did they chant at Charlottesville? You will not replace us. I mean, that sounded awful at the time.
What do they mean by us?
Yeah. Or they,
Yeah.
I mean, but anyway, the leaders have got to understand this is how politics works. And Ice-T, I think it was Ice-T, the black activist, and Charlemagne de God, the radio talk show host, they understood it. Once the Democrats voted for the CARES Act, they lost all their leverage. It's gone. And now we have comedian Jimmy Dore. If you're not familiar with Jimmy Dore, he's a professional comedian, and he runs a YouTube channel out of his garage studio. And he's been telling the squad that, Biden is taking 3 Congress people out of the Congress to be on his cabinet. So the Democrats only have about 5 votes more than the Republicans. So all they have to do is hold Nancy Pelosi hostage and tell them they're not going to vote for her to be Speaker unless she at least puts a Medicare for All vote on the floor. Now, it's
speaking of that floor, I think there's already a lot of blood on that floor.
And he's gotten all kinds of resistance. He's really like Trump. He's really clarifying what's going on. AOC jumped into the discussion, and she actually said that you have to push the Democrats, and then she said, but she refuses to follow the advice. And there's a lot of good progressives that are on Jimmy's side.
Was this before or after she was vaccinated?
Yeah, but so they're starting to call the squad boutique liberals, because they're all show, they're all, they're not going to put themselves on the line at all, and they have no leverage. Now they have a chance to get some leverage. Hold your vote until you promise us something before we give you the vote. If we give you the vote and say,
you mean in the next Congress?
For whoever, any election.
Yeah.
If you're going to say, if you're going to disagree with a politician, but then you're going to say, of course I'm going to vote for you, vote blue no matter who, that whole thing, you don't have any leverage anymore. And that's the Tea Party became the now the Freedom Caucus, and they haven't, done that great a job, but they have made some significant advances, and they're always a challenge.
Well, I think they've fallen over from heart attacks with the national debt, is what's happened, $30 trillion.
I know. That is too much. And I'm not for Medicare for all myself, but it's a question of, is medical care a right? No, it's not a right.
No.
It's not a privilege. That's a bad word to use, because if you say medical care is a privilege, that also implies that you deserve it more than other people, or the government's giving it to you. So it's not a privilege either. It's simply a service, like any other service.
Like any other service, yeah.
Right. And just because you call it a right does not exempt it from the basic laws of supply and demand. So that's something that, it's like they keep saying, your right to vote is your most precious right. That's we hear that from the left all the time. Your most sacred right is the right to vote. Nonsense. The most sacred right is the right to be left alone. That's the most sacred right. I mean, the right to vote was a gift from the founders. It's a political right, but it's not a natural right of any kind, an inalienable right. So, you got to be careful when you're talking about rights versus privileges and versus merely services, and the left is notorious for not doing that. But we've seen that on this call, we've seen how Biden is so thin-skinned and aggressive, and again, I think it comes from an inferiority complex. I think that's going to be the hallmark if he is inaugurated. I think that's something that we're going to have to unfortunately watch for the next 4 years or 2 years. Maybe he surrounds himself with all these smart people because he's afraid of Kamala. He wants
that would be one reason.
Guard in there to protect him from Kamala.
But they did shoot themselves in the head in this election. I mean, the composition of the House is example enough.
Right.
And they could lose control of the Senate here after Georgia.
Right.
So, this is where we are, and I'm not particularly depressed about the situation, even if Trump is not reelected, because the composition of the legislature, which is more important than the executive branch anyway, I mean, that's how the framers gave it, comprised the system, is that you could elect literally an animal into the Oval Office, and you'd still have veto control and declaration of war, and all those powers were delegated to the House, not to the executive branch. So.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the executive branch has usurped a lot of them, and the Congress has
Over
been
the course
complicit.
of time, yes.
Yeah, they have said, go ahead, take our powers. We don't want to have any hard votes.
You're not talking about the War Powers Act, are you?
Yeah, I'm talking about the War Powers Act. I'm talking about just about everything else, you know. They don't write laws anymore. They write or specific laws.
Excuses not to govern?
Yeah, they write vague laws and hand it off to an agency in the executive branch.
Right.
You actually write the rules. We're just going to say, you know, go ahead and write the rules. That's our version of
And the
law.
COVID bill is another example of that, where they just delegated out to lobbyists what they wanted in the goddamn thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, same thing with Obamacare. Same thing with it.
Yeah, always.
Anything else that
But this was 6,000.
our most precious right gives us from Congress.
This was 6,000 pages.
I know. How did they even cobble that together in the first place?
Yeah, who do you mean by they? You know,
I know.
Who are these people?
Yeah. It's it, you know, and it's all behind closed doors, and then they dump it on these Congress people's. You know, it was Harry Brown, you know, he said, read the bill.
Yep.
Read the Bill Act. Yeah, that hasn't gotten anywhere.
No, that's not gotten anywhere. There's a lot of talk about it, though.
Right. Yeah, there's talk about it, just like this.
You know, even AOC suggested that the thing was too big, that there was no time to read the bill.
Yeah, but she voted for
I
it.
know. But, I mean, even to hear her say that is still interesting.
Like I said, the squad complained about it, but only one of them withheld their votes. They have more power than they know, and the left, like I don't know if you know him, Sank-Uger. Even his last name is telling, Uger.
Is he going to be in the next segment?
No, well, no, he's not Jewish. He's Turkish descent. But yeah, we're going to have a Jews in the News coming up, folks. If you're interested in hanging in there.
See how I hang that to you over there?
Right.
Letter high fastball.
But you know, I'll bunt if I have to. I just need to get on base.
That's right.
And that's what, you know, once you give these people the power, they're not going to give it back to you. You have to hold the power. You have to hold them accountable. You have to, and you don't do it by, look, how many people are going to, if Biden gets elected, are we really going to have an investigation into Hunter and Burisma and China and all that stuff?
We don't have enough time to talk about Bill Barr today.
I know. Gosh.
But the Georgia elections are critical. I mean,
Right.
it's job one right now.
And I'm not that confident in the Republicans, especially because the Trump Republicans don't really give a darn about the GOP.
I'm actually watching the live stream from Georgia on the irregularities there as the show is progressing here. There's nothing dynamic at this point, but they are discussing it. The Georgia House is discussing the irregularities in the election as we speak here. So we have a Jews in the News segment coming right up. Looking forward to that.
At Northern Nevada Family Dental, we are proud to announce a wide range of advanced dental services by way of the Photona Life.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
Folks, we're back, and now is the time to give our Defamation League required and mandated disclaimer, that we know that Israel is America's greatest ally, and that they are the only democracy in the Middle East, and they don't throw gay people off of buildings. And whenever
we applaud them for that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But most of all, we must realize that whenever we see Jews behaving badly, that always and everywhere it's our fault. Okay. So what is we had some Jews in the news. In fact, we've had quite a few. As with the Biden administration, we have a new phalanx coming in. But before we get into that, we have a throwback to the Epstein scandal. And the first Jew in the news is Jean-Luc Brunel, the procurer, one of the procurers for girls for Epstein, and we believe the Mossad. And he was arrested in France. He had a modeling agency in France. He had one in Israel, and they had contacts in Eastern Europe, where he, which has long been a way to get more girls into the life. And so we have to acknowledge that Jean-Luc is a Jew in the news, and we'll see whether he gets convicted or if he manages to skate.
And I feel awful about that because it's our fault.
Yeah, I know. If it wasn't for the Holocaust and for all Christian civilization, this never would have happened.
Yep.
And then another one that has been in the news recently is Charles Lieber, and with the Chinese spy scandal with Representative Swalwell. He was the chair of the Harvard Chemical Biology Department, who was arrested for selling nanotechnology secrets to the Chinese government. He received $50,000 a month plus $150,000 annually for expenses as a fellow under China's 1,000 Talents recruitment program. Talent used to have a double meaning. There was not only was it a sign of your ability, but it was also a form of money.
I couldn't hear what you said.
Who said that?
I'm not sure. Got little gremlins here in the studio.
Yeah, there's a ghost in the machine.
But anyway, yeah, the Talents recruitment program, yeah.
Right. So it's another example of how we have to take a look at our universities, and we need to get the pro-Chinese people out. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have any involvement with them, or that Chinese students are all, spies. But in fact,
if you ask them, they deny that they're spies.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've asked a bunch of them, and they say no, I'm not.
And we have several more coming in with the new Biden administration. One of the interesting ones is the power couple, Samantha Power and Cass Sustein. If Samantha Power was the former Obama UN ambassador, and she's now been being named by Biden to head USAID. And considering she helped destroy so many countries, her appointment is superficially a typical government act of breaking your legs and then handing you crutches so you can walk. Yeah.
Feel like Harry Brown's in the room.
But she's, unfortunately for us, she's an Irish-American, naturalized Irish-American citizen.
Oh, good thing.
Yeah. But her husband, Cass Sustein, is the real Jew in the news. Sustein is a longtime Clintonista. In 2008, he wrote a paper, Conspiracy Theories, Causes and Cures. One conspiracy blasted was the idea that Israel may have had something to do with 9/11. Of course, that's only a conspiracy theory. And he basically labels anything that differs from, the establishment line as a conspiracy. And his paper argued that the U.S. government should send agents into different groups. And I think they do that already.
They've been doing it since 1947.
Yeah. In order to convince them, persuade them that their ideas are wrong.
It's for their own good.
Yes. So there's a lot of big pharma, is coming in with the vaccines, and maybe they're going to work, and maybe they're going to help us. But some people are very cautious about taking the vaccines, including some nurses apparently. But so Other powerful Jews associated with Sustein are Robert Wormsley and his daughter Emma, who have positions with Harvard University and Big Pharma. And we could also talk about Walter Isaacson, who is the CEO of Aspen Institute, one of those woke progressive think tanks, former CEO of CNN, of all places, and Time Magazine. And he is now with the Gates Foundation.
Where is that Aspen Institute located?
In Colorado.
Oh.
In Aspen, Colorado. Marnie Levine, the chief operating officer of Instagram, is also in one of the figures that are coming into the Biden administration. And of course, Larry Summers is hanging around the peripheries. He was the Treasury Secretary under Obama, and he's primarily responsible for the rape of Russia during the 1990s. And we've come across some other names, too. World Economic Forum. Well, of course we need a World Economic Forum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure Soros funds that. Klaus Schwab. And he's the author of COVID-19, The Great Reset. Never let a crisis go to waste.
Well, that is what's happening.
Yes.
So,
and we can't leave without at least an honorable mention for the Council on Foreign Relations.
I'm glad that came into the discussion because I noticed there were a bunch of names here on their roster.
Yeah. Some of the ones we mentioned?
Well, yeah, I noticed in our show prep, I saw Richard Haas, of course, who is president of the CFR. And David Rubenstein, you've got down there.
Right.
From the Carlyle Group. And who else is there? Blair Efron. Now that you described him appropriately as an oligarch. I'm sure he is if he's at the CFR, but I'm not familiar with that name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's the globalist agenda because... all of these people are brilliant. Like I said, most of them are Rhodes Scholars, if not Rhodes Scholars. They all graduated from the best schools, and they're out there now pushing their globalist agenda. And, the thing is that according to the Talmud, the history of the Jewish people, they've always been not associated with a state until they got Israel.
Yeah.
And so when they're in the minority, they're very deferential, except now they're gaining more power through the Democratic Party. Now do you have that paper there? Because I think I misplaced it, but about the judges and the Attorney General?
Let's see. This could be it. Here's the former page there.
Oh, yeah, the Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Jill Karofsky and the Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. They both said that Trump's election challenges, because they happen to be in black neighborhoods, was racist.
Yeah.
And so,
well, that's what we've done here. They've reverted back to the Clinton-Obama years.
Right.
And for all of our listeners around the world, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom.